Hello guys, welcome. This is Deepika from mytutorialrack.com and here is our next question. The question is, what are shallow copy and deep copy in Java? So if you have to copy the object's data, there are two ways of doing it. One is called as the shallow way and the other one we have is the deep way. Now, what is the difference between the two? So in the case of shallow copy, the shallow copy only creates a new reference and points to the same object. Okay, so let's say in order to create a shallow copy, you will do something like, let's say we have a class called rectangle obj1 is equals to new rectangle. Now what happens at this point, an object got created, a rectangular object got created in memory, and the references of that object is obj1. Now, if you have to do a shallow copy, you will do something like this. Rectangle obj2 is equals to obj1. A new object is not going to get created in this case. Now, this obj1 as well as obj2 are pointing to the same object. Okay, so if obj1 changes anything on this rectangle object, obj2 automatically is going to get the new value. But in this case, the object is not, there's only one object and both the references are pointing to the same object. That is what is called as shallow copy. Now what is deep copy? Deep copy means you will actually creating another object and you're copying the values of your previous object within this new object. What is deep copy? In a deep copy, we create a new object and copy the old object values to this new object. That is what is called as deep copy. So let me give you a picture diagram that will make things more clear. Here, what you see is, in the case of shallow copy, let's say you created a rectangle object with a length of 5 and a width of 3, let's say, or width of 3. In this case, obj1 is pointing to this object. And in the case of shallow copy, obj2, which is another rough reference, there is no new object created here. Only this object is there and both these are referring to the same object. This is called as shallow copy. What happens in the case of deep copy? You end up creating another object. Okay, another object which has the same values as the previous object. You created another object and there is a reference is obj3. That is called as deep copy. Okay, so we are going to go back to our Eclipse. This is the example that I'm talking about. So we have created a rectangle class and all it has is two instance variable, length and width. And now we have a rectangle main class which has our main method. And in this, what we are doing is we are saying rectangle obj1 is equals to new of rectangle. So at this point, what has happened is, in the memory, let's say this is your memory. In the memory, a new object got created. It has a length and has a width. Okay, what is the length we are giving? We are giving a length of 10 and width we are giving is of 20 and the reference is obj1. Okay. Now what we are saying, rectangle obj2 is equals to obj1. We are not creating another object, but what we are doing is we are creating another reference. So this object can either be accessed via object1 or this can also be accessed via this reference obj2. Now if I am going to be printing the value, what is going to be obj2 length? Obj2 length is going to be 10 and the width is going to be 20. This is what's going to get printed on the screen. Similarly, now let's say we change the value of this obj1 dot after here. We are going to change it and we change it to, let's say we call it 30 and here we are going to call it as 25. So what we are doing here is, so at the line number 14, what's going to print? 10 and 20 will get printed. Then what we are doing is we are changing the value of obj1 length from 10, we are changing it to 30. Okay, so now these values are going to be removed. And we are changing it to, sorry about my dog, 30 and then 25. Okay, so now what is the value of, here we are printing the value of obj2 length and width. What is obj2 length? It's going to be 30 and then again it's going to be 25. So we are changing the same object. So both of them are referencing to the same object. This is shallow copy example. Now let's take a look at our deep copy example here. So what we have done here is we are creating a new object. Okay, so let's say we are in our memory again and let me change it to deep copy. So let's say in our memory, this is our memory here. And what we are doing is we are creating a new rectangle. Okay, so this is your first object you're creating and the length of this object is 100, length is equals to 100, and width is equals to 200. Let's say this is what we did, 100 and 200, and the references is equals to obj3, and then again we are creating obj4. So another object is getting created, obj4, and that is basically this object. So this is equals to obj4 here. Now we are saying obj3 dot length is 100 and obj3 dot width is 200. We've already done that, and obj4 length is equals to whatever is in the obj3, and obj4 width is whatever is in the obj3 width. Okay, so the same 100 and 200. Okay, the same thing is going to be for obj4. Now what will get printed here on the screen? obj4 length is what? 100, and what is obj4 width is equals to 200. Okay, so this is going to get printed on the screen. Now we are changing this one. We are changing this to 30 and 40. It's obj3 length, but obj4 is still 100 and 200. So nothing has changed on the obj4, because what we are doing is this is again going to give us 100 and 200. Okay, so this is called as deep copy, where you not only copy the object, you actually are copying the values of the object, not only just creating a reference. So what is the difference between a shallow copy and a deep copy? In the case of shallow copy, you are not creating a new object, you're just creating a new reference which is pointing to the same old object. Okay, whereas in the deep copy, you create a new object and you copy the values from the previous object onto this new object. So let's go ahead and run this program and see if our output matches. Run as Java application. So you can see here the first is 10 and 20, that matches. The next is going to be 30 and 25, that matches. Then the third is 100 and 200, that matches, and the fourth is 100 and 200. So our program exactly matches, and this is the difference between a shallow copy and a deep copy. I hope this is crystal clear now, and I'm going to see you in the next video with another interview question. Stay tuned for that, and thank you very much.